So here's a quick example on writing one variable equations from word problems. So let's say you get a word problem scenario, something like this. Mr. Foster purchased a PlayStation 5 and some games to go with it for $450. The PlayStation 5 cost $375 and each video game cost $25. Write and solve an equation to determine how many games Mr. Foster purchased. Alright, let me shrink this up here. So what we want to do is two things. We want to take the information here. We want to write basically a one variable two-step equation, and then from there we can solve it and figure out how many video games I purchased here after we've written the equation. So let's pull some information out of this word problem. First off, we get a total. So we know Mr. Foster, I purchased a PlayStation 5 and some games to go with it for $450. So that's going to give the grand total of our equation. So we know our equation is going to equal 450. So I'm going to write that in real quick because you typically get that information in a word problem that asks to write a one variable equation. And then some more info. It gives us the cost of the PlayStation 5. So PlayStation 5 costs $375. So the PlayStation 5 was $375. And I just bought one of those. There's no information to suggest I didn't buy more than one. It's just one PlayStation 5 for $375. I'll include a dollar sign there for you. And then the question here is, I got some video games. Video games cost $25. Bought some cheaper video games here. But we don't know how many. Question mark is how many, and that's what we're really trying to solve for. That's the variable. So that's going to be the x or the y, or we could use g for games, whatever it is here. That's what we're solving for. That's the missing amount. So now what I can do is I can take these amounts. I can take the 375, I can take the 25, get a variable with it, make it equal to 450, and then we can solve it if needed. So I'm going to write this out. We're going to start with, and it doesn't necessarily matter what order, but I'm going to start with the PlayStation 5 cost of $375. So I'll come in here and write this in. So the PlayStation, I'll do this in blue, is $375. Plus the cost of the video games, which is $25. And we got to have the variable, 25x, or we could put 25g if we want, something like that. And it equals 450. That essentially is the equation we want to write. And the order doesn't matter. I could have written this as 20 real quick. I could have put 25x plus 375 equals 450. And that would work. That's the same thing. You can also have 450 at the front. So I could say 450 equals something like 25x plus 375. This would be another way. So there's a couple different ways we can do this, but all of these would be correct. So let's back up now. We've done half of what's needed. We got an equation written from the word problem. Now let's go ahead and solve it. Figure out how many video games I purchased here for $450. We know the PlayStation was $375. So all I need to do now is basically solve this one variable two-step equation that I've written. So if I draw a line and we basically do our inverse operation here, we can get this thing solved. So the first thing to do, remember we always do the variable operation, the variable. Let's do that second. So let's do the number that's by itself first. It's 375, which is a positive value, 375. So we're going to subtract that away. Let's get that to the other side of the equation by subtracting. There we go. Subtract from there. Subtract from there. 375, 375. Of course, it cancels there. I'm left with my 25x, bringing it down right over there. Not forgetting about it, making it equal to 450 minus 375. You get that math. It's going to be 75. So 450 minus $375 is going to leave you with $75. So you simplify this down to 25x equals, there's a better 75. And then 25 times x equals 75. 25 times what number? How do we solve that? Well, let's do the inverse, the opposite of multiplication. Let's divide out the 25. And we got to do that on both sides over here. So divide by 25. Divide by 25. Cancels there. X is going to be equal to 75 divided by 25 is going to be 3. and 3 represents X or G, how many video games I purchased. So I purchased a PlayStation 5 for $375 and then 3 video games for $25, and that was the total of 450. So took the information out of the word problem, wrote a one variable two-step equation, and then solved it like we've been practicing this week doing inverse operations.